This year, they get a new coach from Detroit, which not so coincidentally has a great O-line. They go get guard, center guard. They went and just got the guard from the Atlanta Falcons. And my take is, this is what a couple years ago Andy Reid did, Tooney from the Patriots. This is what Sean McVay did, Dotson from the Steelers. I actually love, except for Ryan Poles, basically the new coach is saying, yeah, you missed on all your interior lineman picks. I love what the Bears are doing, but I don't think it makes headlines. What say you?
Yeah, well, the number one thing I think in Chicago is that Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson are aligned philosophically. That's number one. And I think philosophically, you're seeing Ben Johnson come in with that Detroit Lions playbook. And, like basically we're going to build it inside out. We're going to set the foundation up front. And I've said many times, like, if you have pass protection as a quarterback, you can take good quarterbacks and make them look great if you just have pass protection. And then the opposite is true. And so, like, I really think they have to figure out the sack situation in Chicago. I was pretty blunt with you all year. I thought a lot of those sacks didn't fall on the offensive line, but those things snowball. And so I think they hit the reset button, and they're going to go with veterans up front and who are going to do their job. And then they're going to probably coach the quarterback hard. And I think that's sort of like the vision and the game plan. But all you got to look to is in the division, look at Detroit, how they built it, how they did it. That's what I think you're seeing out of Chicago right now.
Yeah, I'm so happy that Matt said that, because I had made a video before talking about this and about what Ben Johnson will be able to do with Caleb in terms of reducing his sacks, and specifically the sacks that are technically on Caleb and not the O-line. And I talked about how important that is from the offensive coach / coordinator, depending on, who's the main guy, whether it's the offensive head coach or coordinator. In this situation, it's going to be obviously Ben Johnson. And I kind of talked about how he made, how we saw Jared Goff go from Sean McVay to another coach, and his pressure to sack percentage increased. And then when Ben Johnson came in, he reduced that. And that pressure to sack percentage is, it's the rate that you're being sacked when you're experiencing pressure. And again, this falls really 100% on the quarterback, or technically the coach as well, quite frankly, but not the O-line itself. So what's going to be so great is that they're now obviously fortifying the O-line, which we all know that that's obviously incredibly important and what the Bears need to do. So not only now are you going to be reducing the overall times that Caleb is going to be pressured, victory there, but now you're having Ben Johnson, who's now also going to be able to work with Caleb, and that now when the pressure does get to Caleb, the amount of sacks he's going to take are going to be significantly less. And that now, it's going to be such a major boost, because you're now minimizing your sacks like tenfold. It's going to have such a more, because these moves would already be big, even if they were just fortifying the O-line and you didn't even have like a Ben Johnson. That's now, going to be a huge, swing. And now you're adding Ben Johnson to the mix of now on the other side, if they didn't do anything to the O-line and had the exact O-line, the exact same amount of pressures, he would still take less sacks. So it's just there's so much synergy here that I think people are, that needs to be the headline, actually. That needs to be the headline. And it's just, that is honestly what should make you more excited than anything else right now currently, with what this Bears team can do with Caleb and Ben Johnson. It's just really great. And again, Hasselbeck said, some of those sacks are on Caleb. And again, to me, it's kind of a shared responsibility between the quarterback itself as well as, the coach. The coach does bear a lot of responsibility. But again, it all depends on the situation and kind of how this is unfolding, which is not always easy to see, quite frankly, even if you're watching like the All-22 or if you're watching like game day, like actual, like, the broadcast footage itself, because you're just not always you need to actually kind of know, like, what are the conversations that are being had in place, what are they saying to Caleb, what are they looking to do in any of these given moments. But I'm happy that Matt Hasselbeck said that, because I just think that is so wildly important. And I think it's going to be such a game changer for the Bears that it's going to be just night and day. The only way that it's not is if Caleb Williams is legitimately struggling to be a high-level quarterback, right? If everyone really did just get it wrong, and he actually really just he just can't get it, right? Like he's just not getting it, which I don't think will happen, quite frankly. So I'm super excited to see them continue to make these moves, to also get people who they know to get the job done. It's a difference between just going out in free agency and getting guys who you know can do it, who have been there, who are established, than trying to draft. Because now you can still mess up in the draft. You still got to like teach people how to be in the NFL. Like there's still a learning curve, and it still kind of takes time. You're getting the bodies now that know what need to be done. They've been there. They've been on multiple teams now. They've been playing for years. You know, they've made the transition from college to the pros. Like that hard work has been done. That foundation has been set, you know? So I just continue to love what the Bears are doing. I really, really do. And I just think we're going to see some of this stuff just, you know, in full view. When we see Caleb top 3 in pressures, 241, 248, 251, you know, and then you see the amount of sacks that he took based off of that, you know, number 1, and then the pressure to sack percentage. And again, you know, Will Levis, you know, we can just throw him out there. You got him at 28, number 1 essentially in the NFL. Because again, if you want to compare him to Will Levis, by all means, be my guest. But like, not really going to treat Will Levis as necessarily a starter in the NFL. So we can say that he's essentially number 1 in the league at 28.2%. That number, I just think alone, is going to just get cut in half. When you look at a Jared Goff going all the way down to 16, where is it? Okay, now you can see it. You know, 16 and a half. That's what. And now they're obviously different players, and so a player like Caleb is always going to kind of have the risk to kind of take some of those rough sacks. And you know, it's up to him to kind of figure out how slippery he can be in that regard. Because obviously Jared Goff is going to be more reliant on just getting the ball out of his hands, whereas, you know, Caleb Williams is going to try to, you know, make more plays. So it's still going to be a learning curve, but, you know, you do that as well as reducing just the overall dropbacks with pressure. I mean, it's just going to be massive. It's just going to be massive. There's the potential to cut the sacks in half. Instead of moving backwards, you're finally going to be moving forwards. Everyone else is going to get settled. Caleb is going to get settled. Caleb's not going to have to take also just the hard hits as well, which were clearly, you know, you saw him as the season went on. Like he was getting rougher and rougher. You know, like he was getting roughed up. He really was. You know, like that one time, I forget who he was playing. It might have been against the Vikings when he was just like ailing on the bench and was just in such pain. You know, all of that stuff definitely adds up. Just ask Andrew Luck. And so, yeah, when I see things like this, to me, I'm telling you right now, and it'll be fun to look back. This right here, man, this number is going to be a game changer. This number is going to be a game changer, and it's more than just the amount of times that it's pressure because of the O-line. This number is going to be a game changer, and it's going to be because of what Ben Johnson does for Caleb Williams. And it's just going to be absolutely positively night and day. Night and day. When you see some of these quarterbacks who have such low pressure to sack percentage, they're either just so physically gifted, right? Where like a Lamar Jackson who's just lightning, Josh Allen who can just like literally just barrel through people and still get positive yardage, or they're clearly connected, you know, with a coach who can consistently put themselves in a position, or they're just experienced veterans. You know, when you look at some of the guys who kind of struggle with this, it's CJ Stroud, right? He's at the mercy of his coach. His second year, he's at the mercy of his coach. You know, Russell Wilson still trying to do too much, not a good enough offensive coordinator. You know, Jaden Daniels again, and this isn't all bad, but this is the kind of the slight issue of someone like when you have a bad O-line and you're like Jaden, who's now gonna try to like constantly make something out of nothing, learning when you got to just get rid of the ball, throw it away, etc., etc. Which again is still a work in progress when you're that physically gifted. So I do imagine that Caleb will also have some of that learning curve as Jaden does as well. But just interesting stuff, quite frankly, just interesting stuff. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Chicago Bears continuing to fortify, their O-line? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.